The sound of fire was the first thing she heard. Then came the pain. Captain Mara slowly opened her eyes. Smoke was everywhere. Her head was bleeding and her hands were shaking. The ship had crashed badly. She sat up and looked around. The control panel was broken, sparks flying from it. The emergency lights blinked red. Everything else was silent, too silent. Mara stood on weak legs and walked toward the exit. When the door opened with a loud hiss, the desert heat hit her face like a slap. The planet outside was dead. No trees, no rivers, just sand, rocks, and strange black mountains in the distance. The sky was yellow, filled with thick clouds. It looked like a place where nothing should live. She was alone, or so she thought. Then she saw him. A tall, strange figure lay a few feet from the wreckage. He wasn't human. His skin was silver blue. His eyes were closed. His chest moved slowly. He was alive. Mara froze. An alien. Not just any alien. This was the enemy. Her last memory before the crash was a battle in space. Her ship was hit, and now one of them was here too. She pulled her sidearm from her belt, walked slowly toward him, and aimed it at his head. "Don't move," she whispered, though he was already unconscious. The alien groaned softly. His arm was broken. His body was full of cuts. Blood green and thick covered his side. He was dying. Mara hesitated. She should kill him. He was a threat, but he was also helpless. She lowered her weapon. "Damn it," she said, and dragged him back inside the ship. The inside was hot and broken, but it was shelter. She placed him in the corner, then used a medkit to patch her own wounds. Her ribs hurt, but nothing was broken. Then she looked at him again. His chest rose and fell. His skin shimmered like metal under the light. He looked strong even now. Dangerous. She searched his pockets. No weapons. No tools. Just a small round device, broken. Maybe it was for communication. He opened his eyes. Mara jumped and pulled. Her weapon again. He stared at her, breathing hard. He tried to speak, but his voice was weak and deep, like a growl. "You... ... Not kill?" he asked in rough English. Mara blinked. "You speak English?" He nodded slowly. "Little. Learned from war." She kept the gun aimed at him. "Why were you attacking my ship?" He looked confused. "No attack. I was running too. Hit by same blast. Same enemy." Her eyes narrowed. "So you're not the one who shot me?" He shook his head. "Same victim, same crash." Mara slowly lowered the gun. They sat in silence. Outside, the wind howled like a ghost. The sun was going down, and the air was getting cold. She checked the ship's systems. Communication was dead. No signal, no power, no help coming. How long till rescue? She asked herself. The alien answered, "No rescue. This zone, forbidden, marked lost." She looked at him. "What do you mean?" He coughed. "This planet, ... was used for tests. Many die here. No one comes back." Her heart dropped. He wasn't lying. Mara sat on the floor, staring at the wall, trapped with a dying alien. And the night was coming. Suddenly, there was a sound outside. A low rumble, like something was moving under the ground. She grabbed her weapon and peeked through the crack in the ship's door. The sand was shifting. Something, ... was crawling beneath it. She closed the door quickly. Her heart raced. The alien sat up, alarmed. "It knows we hear, smells us. It comes." "What is it?" she asked. He said one word. "Hunter." Night fell fast. The cold was worse than expected. Ice formed on the metal walls. Mara shivered in her jacket. The alien sat close to the heater. barely alive. Suddenly, a loud thud hit the side of the ship. She jumped another thud. The alien stood, weak but ready. He pulled something from his Buddha glowing blade. The third thud broke the wall open. Large claw reached inside. Then, red eyes glowed in the dark. Mara fired her weapon. The alien roared and attacked with the blade. The creature screamed and backed away. They both ran to seal the broken wall with scrap metal. Their hands bled, but they made it. Silence returned. They sat again, breathing hard. Mara looked at him. Truce. She asked. He nodded. Truce. But in her heart, she knew the real war had just begun. The sun rose like a fireball over the broken desert. Its heat returned fast, burning the ship's metal walls. Inside, Mara and the alien sat in silence. The night had been long and deadly. Mara looked at the broken wall where the creature had attacked. Blood still stained the floor green and black. The alien sat near the hole, sharpening his strange glowing blade. His face was calm, but his eyes watched every shadow outside. Do those things come every night? Mara asked. The alien nodded. Yes, and worse comes after. Mara rubbed her temples. Fantastic. We're on a death planet. She stood and stretched. Her body ached. They needed food, water, tools, anything. She looked at him. We need to search outside. Together, he blinked slowly. Danger. She shrugged. Dying in here is no better. They walked across the sand, weapons ready. The sky was orange now, the wind dry and sharp. Strange bones poked out of the ground too large to be human. The alien moved with quiet steps like a hunter. Mara followed. Close, scanning the distance. Her boots crunched over cracked rocks and dried remains of something once alive. After 2 hours, they found something, an old structure, half buried in the sand. A dome, metal, alien symbols across its walls. Mara ran a hand over them. You know this. He nodded slowly. Old lab, my people. Long before war. The door was rusted, but still standing. They forced it open. Inside was dark and silent. A long hallway led into the ground. Dust covered everything. Machines were broken, screens dead. But then they saw it a storage room. Mara opened a box. Water, food packets, medical gel. She laughed for the first time in days. We hit gold. The aliens smiled faintly. Not gold. Survival. They packed what they could into bags. Just as they were about to leave, the ground shook. Mara froze. Earthquake. The alien listened carefully. No, not Earth. Then the floor cracked. From beneath the ground, a creature exploded through the floor. Its body was made of sand and bone. Long arms, no eyes, just teeth. Mara screamed and fired. The bullets went through, but the thing kept coming. The alien jumped in front of her and slashed with his glowing blade. The creature shrieked as the light burned it. They ran back into the hallway. But another creature dropped from the ceiling, trapped double quotes back to the dome. Mara yelled. The alien turned and kicked a metal tank off the wall. It rolled into the hallway. Shoot it. Mara aimed and fired. The tank exploded, fire and smoke filling the tunnel. They escaped into the open sand, coughing and bleeding. The dome behind them sank into the ground as the sand creatures screamed inside. That night, they sat by a fire made from ship wires and desert wood. They had food now, water, but more questions than ever. What were those things? Mara asked. The alien looked at the stars. Failed weapons. My people tried to use the sand, gave it hunger. Gave it a mind. Mara stared. You made monsters. Out of sand. He looked down. Mistake. Long ago. Buried. Forgotten. But now they're awake again, she whispered. He nodded. Silence passed between them. Then she looked at him closely. You never told me your name. He touched his chest. Jiran. She smiled softly. Mara. They shook hands, awkwardly. Slowly. Two enemies. Now, something else later that night, Mara couldn't sleep. She stepped outside the ship. The stars above were strange, glowing. In colors she didn't know. She sat on a rock, thinking. Then Jaren sat beside her, holding a small device. He pressed a button. A light appeared. A floating shape, a baby. Alien, glowing. What is that? She asked softly. My son, he whispered. He was born sick, could not survive. Mara's heart tightened. I'm sorry. Sharon looked at her. He died because of war. Because of hate. Mara stayed quiet. The desert wind blew softly between them. Then she said, maybe we stop that here. Jaren didn't answer, but he nodded once. Suddenly, a sound echoed across the desert. A deep hum. Like a machine waking up. Mara stood. What now? From the distance, lights flashed in the sky. Jaren's face turned pale. A signal. Something found us. She raised her gun. Good or bad? He looked at her. Not rescue. The sky turned green. Mara had never seen clouds move like that before. They twisted and swirled in fast circles. The wind stopped. Then came a strange smell, sweet, sharp, and dangerous. Jaren stood still, staring at the sky. It's coming, he whispered. What's coming? Mara asked, tightening her grip on the bag of supplies. He looked at her with serious eyes. Burning rain. They ran toward the rocky hills near the ship. The sand was too open, too exposed. Behind them, the sky grew darker. Lightning flashed. Not white, but purple. A single drop hit the sand. It hissed, then smoke rose from the ground where the drop landed. Mara's heart jumped. That wasn't water. Jaren pulled her by the arm. We must find cave. Now? More drops began to fall. At first, slow and quiet. Then the storm screamed. They ran under the sharp rain. Every drop burned the ground, turning it black. A few hit Mara's jacket holes appeared instantly. She cried out and threw it off. Jaren shielded her with his arm. His skin smoked, but he didn't stop. There. He pointed at a hole between two sharp rocks. They jumped inside just as the rain became a storm of fire. The cave was deep and cold. Dripping water echoed through the walls, but not the burning kind. Safe water. Mara sat down, shaking. Her arms were red and sore from the acid drops. Jaren ripped cloth from his own shirt and wrapped her burns. He didn't speak, but his hands were gentle. The silence inside the cave was strange after the noise outside. Mara looked at him. That rain? Your people made that too. He didn't answer at first, then nodded slowly. Long ago, a weapon. To burn cities. We lost control. She sighed. Why does everything on this planet want to kill us? Jaren looked at the cave. Walls. Symbols were scratched into the stone. He pointed to one. This was safe place. For exiles, outcasts. Like us, she said softly. Hours passed. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, the cold grew worse. Mara's teeth chattered. She curled into herself. Jaren noticed. He stood and removed his outer armor, placing it over her. No, she protested. Weakly, you'll freeze. He sat beside her, wrapping his arms around her carefully. His body was warm, even in the cold. Too warm, in fact. She looked up. His skin glowed faintly again. "You're burning up." Yara nodded. "I am. Changing. What do you mean?" He looked at her, slow and serious. "Your touch, your presence. My body reacts." Mara's heart beat faster. React? How? I do not know. Never been close to human before. The cave was quiet again, but something had changed between them. That night, strange sounds came from deeper inside the cave. Not wind, not water. Whispers. Mara opened her eyes and listened. It was like voices. Singing, she stood slowly, holding her light. "Jiran, do you hear that?" He was already awake. He nodded. Together, they moved deeper into the cave. The walls glowed with faint light, not from tech, from the stone itself. Then they saw it, a massive crystal in the center of a large chamber. Floating, spinning slowly. Around it were carvings ancient and strange. Jaren stepped forward and touched one of the drawings. Mara looked at it. A human, a Jaren-like alien, holding hands, standing over a child. Her mouth went dry. "What is this place?" Jaren breathed. Deeply. A memory chamber, from before war. My people believed humans were keys to survival. A prophecy. Mara backed away. "That's just a story, right?" Jaren didn't answer. They returned to the main cave. The storm had ended. The air was clear, but the ground outside was blackened. Mara sat down, holding her stomach. It hurt, just a little, but enough to notice. Jaren looked at her. "What is it?" She shook her head. "Nothing. Maybe just stress." But the pain didn't go away. It grew day by day. Later, they returned to the ship to check for signals. Mara stopped walking. Her knees gave out. Jaren caught her before she hit the ground. She gasped. Holding her stomach again, he placed a hand on her belly and closed his eyes. Then he pulled back quickly, his face pale. "What is it?" she asked, fear creeping in. His voice was low. "You carry life." Mara's eyes widened. "No," she whispered. "That's not possible." Jaren stepped back, shaking his head. "It has begun. The bond. The child." Mara's breath came fast. "A child, you mean? Yours?" He looked at her. "Ours." The sky above the ship lit up again. But this time, it wasn't a storm. It was a ship, dark, silent, watching from above. Jaren looked up. They come for the child. The ship in the sky didn't move. It hovered like a dark shadow against the orange clouds, watching. No signal, no sound. Just silent threat. Mara hid behind a dune, holding her stomach. The pain was sharper now. Something inside her was growing fast. Jaren stood in front of her, his glowing blade ready. "That ship," he said, voice cold, "is not here to help." "Then what does it want?" Mara asked. He looked at her belly. The child. They waited until nightfall. The ship finally disappeared behind the mountains. But they knew it would return. Jaren led Mara back to the cave, the one where the crystal floated. He believed the answers were hidden there. As they walked, Mara's body burned. Her heartbeat was too fast. She felt hot, dizzy. Her skin glowed faintly under moonlight. "Jaren," she whispered, "am I changing?" He didn't answer. Because? He wasn't sure. They reached the cave and stepped inside the memory chamber. The floating crystal spun faster now. As if alive. The room felt warmer, heavier. Carvings on the walls glowed brighter. Mara walked toward a new symbol. One that hadn't been glowing before. A circle, inside it, a woman, a child, and a serpent of light. "What does this mean?" she asked. Sharon stepped forward slowly, staring at the symbol. The first one, a human. She carried the first seed. the hybrid. He touched the carving gently. It says, "The child will be powerful. Both peace and danger." Mara stared. "That's not a prophecy. That's a warning." Jaren nodded. "Yes. The warning says, no offspring shall survive the rise, or all will burn." Her heart sank. Mara stepped back, shaking her head. "This is too much," she whispered. Crash. We survive monsters. Acid rain, freezing nights, and now I'm carrying something that may destroy everything. Jaren said nothing. The glowing crystal spun again, and images appeared in the air. A memory. A woman stood beside a tall alien, much like Jaren. They were smiling, holding a small child with glowing eyes. Then dash fire, ships attacking, screams. The child taken, buried. The memory faded. Mara closed her eyes. "This happened before, didn't it?" Jaren looked at her, and they tried to erase it. Suddenly, the ground shook. A wall in the chamber cracked open, revealing a second path, deep and narrow. A soft hum came from inside. Jaren stepped forward. "We go." "Why?" Mara asked. He pointed at her belly. "You carry light. That door opened for you." The new path was strange. Smooth walls, warm air, no dust. It was not natural. It was built. They walked for what felt like hours, then entered a round room with a high ceiling. In the center was a pool of glowing water. Mara stepped close and looked down. Her reflection was not just her. She saw herself, but with silver blue skin, eyes like Jaren's, and the baby in her, arms glowing like a star. She gasped and stepped back. Jaren touched the water. The pool rose up and shaped into another memory. This time a voice spoke. Calm, female, old, if the bond is true. The child will awaken ancient blood. One chance to save two worlds or end them both. The vision faded. Jaren turned to her. "You are not cursed. You are chosen." Mara's hands shook. "I didn't choose this, but it chose you." That night, Mara lay near the pool. Jaren kept watch, silent as always. She couldn't sleep. The baby inside her felt aware, like it knew she was afraid. She spoke softly. "I don't know what you are, or why me, but I will protect you. I promise." Suddenly, the pool lit up. From the water, a beam of light shot up, then outward into the sky. Jaren shouted, "Get down!" The beam vanished. Silence. Then a distant roar. They ran outside the cave. In the sky, 3 ships now. Not one. All black. All silent. "They found us," Mara whispered. Jaren's voice was hard. "And they are not alone." They rushed back to the shipwreck. Jaren grabbed what weapons and supplies they had left. "We run?" Mara asked. He shook his head. "No. We go deeper. Below, there is one place left, hidden, sacred. Even they fear it." Mara looked at him. "Why?" Jaren looked at her stomach. "Because it was made for the child you carry." Far above, in the lead ship, something ancient stirred. It had no eyes, no mouth, just energy and hate. It whispered in a language long dead. "The seed lives." And it began to descend. Mara screamed, not from fear. From pain, it hit her like lightning, hot, sudden, deep inside her. She dropped to her knees beside the ruined ship, clutching her stomach. Her breath came fast. Her skin glowed brighter than ever before. Jaren rushed to her side. His hand touched her back, his voice calm but firm. "It's early," he said. "Too early." Mara gasped. "Something's wrong. It's moving." Jaren pressed his ear against her belly. For a moment, he was completely still. Then, His eyes widened. It's aware. Above them, the sky screamed. The lead ship broke through the clouds, slow and massive. It wasn't like any ship Mara had seen before. It wasn't built for war. It was built to collect. Its surface was black glass. No windows, no engines. Just silent motion. Jaren stood and stared. "That is not a ship," he said. "It is a harvester." Mara forced herself to her feet. What does it harvest? Jaren looked at her belly. Bloodlines, powers, anything rare. Mara's face went pale. "So it's here to take the child." Jaren nodded. "And it will not leave until it does." They ran away from the open desert toward the canyon beyond the Black Mountains. Jaren said there was a place there, older than the war, hidden from machines. Mara could barely walk. Her legs were weak. Her vision blurred. But she didn't stop, because the thing inside her didn't want to stop. It wanted to be born. Behind them, machines dropped from the sky. Black hounds with metal claws. No eyes. They sniffed the air and followed heat, sound, blood. One turned its head sharply toward Mara's footprints. Then all six began to run. The canyon rose like a scar in the desert. Jagged cliffs, sharp rocks. A narrow path down into shadow. Jaren held Mara's hand and led her inside. The walls were marked with more ancient symbols, same language as the Cave of Light. "This place," he said, "is a womb." Mara blinked. "A what?" He pointed to the stone ahead. "A place of birth, made to protect." As they entered the hidden cavern, the temperature dropped. The air grew thick. Something hummed beneath their feet. It felt alive. They stopped in a circular chamber. The walls were smooth. The ceiling glowed faintly in the center, a stone slab shaped like a bed. Around it, strange metal roots curled up from the floor. Jaren helped Mara lie down. "Now," he said, "we wait and defend." Mara looked at him. "I don't want to die, Jaren." He brushed her hair back. "You won't. I will protect you." Her hand gripped his. "Promise." He nodded. "I promise." Outside, the metal hounds reached the canyon. They didn't hesitate. They leaped down the rocks, claws digging into stone. Their bodies made no sound. Their hunger was not for food, but for the energy inside the unborn child. As they approached the cave, the roots in the ground began to shift. Watching, waiting inside, Mara screamed again. The pain came harder now. Waves, heat, pulsed from her body. Jaren placed both hands on her stomach. He closed his eyes. A soft blue light flowed from his hands. He whispered, "Let me share your pain." Mara gasped, but the burning eased. "Is this your power?" she asked. He nodded. "We are bonded now. One wound, one heart." Suddenly, the roots around the chamber moved. They formed a wall around the entrance. Thick. Alive, Jaren stood and picked up his blade. "They come." The first hound broke through. It leaped with razor claws but was caught midair by a root that stabbed straight through its chest. It screamed and melted. But more followed. Jaren moved like a ghost. Quiet, fast, deadly. His blade danced. His body glowed. But they kept coming. 5, then 10. The harvester above the canyon opened a hole in its belly. From it, up to something descended. Not a ship, not a machine. A being made of smoke and metal. No face, no voice, just presence. Jaren froze. "That," he said, "is the collector." The collector floated into the cave entrance. It didn't touch the ground. The roots tried to stop it, but they turned to ash. It looked at Jaren, then at Mara. Mara screamed again. The baby was almost here. Jaren shouted, "You will not take this child." The collector raised a hand. Jerome was thrown back against the wall hard. He coughed blood, but stood again. He ran toward the creature and stabbed straight through its chest. It paused, looked down, then shattered into 1,000 sparks. But more shadows followed behind it. Mara cried out one final time, and then, silence. The glow around her body burst like a small star. The shadows stopped. A soft cry filled the chamber. The child was born, wrapped in light, eyes open, silent. And watching Jaren fell to his knees, Mara held the child close, and the harvester, above, began to retreat, as if it feared what had just entered the world. The child didn't cry like a normal baby. It looked at Mara with bright silver eyes, calm, silent, alert, not afraid, not confused. It glowed. Jaren stared in silence. His chest was bruised, his blade broken, but his heart beat stronger than ever. "It is born," he whispered. Mara held the baby tight. What now? Outside the cave, the sky roared. The planet began to change. Far above, the harvester ship was moving away but not running. It was scanning, searching for something under the surface. The child had awakened. Something older than war, older than Jaren's people, older even than the ruins. A deep vibration shook the ground. Cracks opened in the desert. Lava bled from the planet's core. The world was breaking. Jaren helped Mara up. She held the child wrapped in cloth from his armor. "We must move," he said. Mara nodded, still weak. "Where?" Jaren pointed toward the north. "There is one last shelter. The Vault of Seeds, built to survive world-ending fire." Followed, every step slow. Her body was sore. Her mind raced. The child slept peacefully in her arms. But the ground did not stop shaking. They left the canyon behind. The sand was no longer dry. It steamed. The air burned with each breath. Trees of bone cracked and fell in the distance. The sky turned red. They walked across the dying world like shadows with no home, and behind them the harvester followed slowly, high above, like a god waiting for weakness. At night, they found a hill shaped like a broken star. Jaren placed his hand on the rock. It lit up with ancient light. A door opened inside. The vault was a chamber of glowing crystals, gentle warmth and still air, like a womb. Like peace, Mara laid the child down on a soft surface shaped by roots. Jaren touched the walls. They lit up with stories, pictures of old lives, forgotten families, seeds of species now gone. He looked at her. This place was built to protect the last of things. Plants, DNA, memories. Mara stroked the baby's face. "Is this where we end?" Jaren paused. "No. This is where we choose." Suddenly, the vault shook. A sound like thunder cracked. The roof, then it entered. Not the collector. Something worse. A beast 10 feet tall. Made of old tech, metal bones, and shadow skin. Its body pulsed with dark energy. It didn't walk. It hovered. Jaren stepped in front of Mara. "That is not alive," he said. "It is punishment." "What do you mean?" she asked. He pointed. His broken blade. A creation made to erase the mistake. It comes to kill the hybrid. Mara's blood went cold. No. She stood up, child in one arm, fire in her eyes. "I will not let you touch my baby." The beast charged. Jaren jumped first, striking with what was left of his weapon. It shattered against the beast's armor. He was thrown aside. Like sand in wind, Mara screamed. The child opened its glowing eyes. The beast stopped. Mid-dash step. Mara looked down. The baby stared at the state. The baby stared at the creature and it paused. The air in the vault changed. Roots pulled back, walls brightened. The beast trembled. Then it roared. Jaren rose again, blood on his lips. Now, he yelled, "Give the child to the vault." Ah! Mara hesitated. The vault lit up, forming a cradle from crystalline light. "I can't," she began. Sharon shouted, "It's the only way." Mara ran to the cradle and placed the child inside. The moment the baby touched the glowing surface, the room exploded with light. The beast screamed as if burning alive. The child lifted into the air, floating, glowing brighter than a sun. The ground stopped shaking, the planet paused. Even the harvester ship in the sky halted. The child was choosing. The light faded slowly. The baby returned to Mara's arms, smiling now. Calm, the beast was gone, melted, erased. Jaren fell to his knees, shaking. Mara rushed to him. He looked up weakly. "The child saved us." She held his face. "No, we saved it." Outside, the planet was still breaking, but slower now. The harvester ship drifted back as if unsure. It did not attack. It did not move closer. It simply turned and vanished into the stars. Mara and Jaren stayed inside the vault. For many hours, the baby slept peacefully. The ground no longer cracked. The sky turned blue for the first time. Jaren sat beside her. "What now?" She looked at the stars. "We find a way off this rock, and we raise this child to be better than us." He nodded. Together, they watched a new dawn rise, but far beyond the galaxy. Others were watching. The hybrid had been born. The vault had survived, and the stars were whispering again. The stars above the desert world blinked in new colors. Blue, gold, green. The child now weeks. Old watched them from Mara's arms, eyes wide open, glowing like they held the entire sky inside. Jaren stood at the edge of the broken canyon, scanning the horizon. His skin was paler now, thinner. The planet was taking its toll. But he smiled when he looked back at them. "We're not alone anymore." He said softly. That morning, a sound like no other shook the air. Not thunder. Beast, a signal. High above, a rescue ship pierced through the clouds, shining like a silver dagger. Mara's knees gave out. She laughed and cried at the same time. "They found us," she whispered. Jaren's smile faded slowly. His eyes grew distant. Mara noticed. "What is it?" He said nothing, because he already knew. The rescue ship landed gently near the ruined star cruiser where Mara had first crashed. The earth hissed beneath its weight. 3 humans in silver suits stepped out, guns drawn. Voices sharp. "Identify yourself." One shouted, "We tracked strange energy signals. Biological unknowns." Mara stepped forward, holding the child in her arms. "I'm Captain Mara Ellen, human, alive, and I have something with me." Their eyes widened as they saw the baby. One of the officers stepped forward. "What is that?" Mara's arms tightened around the child. "My son, and the alien." Jaren stood still, unarmed, but they raised their guns anyway. "He's the father," she said. Silence, long, cold. Then the officer spoke again. "We need to take the child for testing. For protection." Mara's voice dropped to a whisper. "No." The baby began to glow again. The officers stepped back. One reached for his comms. "This is command. Target is in. Stable." Mara looked them in the eyes. "Take one step toward him, and this planet won't be the only thing falling apart." The baby's light brightened slowly, gently, then spoke not in words, but in feeling. Peace, warmth, memory. The officers fell silent, the air around them stilled. Then one officer lowered his gun. I felt it, he whispered. It's not dangerous. Another stepped back. It's intelligent. The third officer still looked afraid. He's still not human. Mara looked him dead in the eyes. Neither is hate, but you still carry it. Jaren stepped forward. His body was growing weaker by the hour. The child belongs to both worlds, he said. Let it live between them. The youngest officer, barely older than Mara, nodded. We'll take you all, for the people above. They won't understand. Mara smirked. Then let them try. The ship lifted from the desert, leaving behind the cracked planet and its dying sky. Inside, Mara held the child close. Jaren sat beside her, breathing slower now. Too slow, Mara touched his hand. You need help. He smiled weakly. My time here is done. No, she whispered, tears forming. You have to stay. He looked at the child. He has your strength. My memory? He'll survive. The baby reached out, touching Jaren's chest. His skin glowed one last time. Then the light faded. Jaren leaned back, closed his eyes, and was gone. Mara didn't cry right away. She looked at her son, his silver blue skin, his glowing eyes, and knew Jaren wasn't truly gone. He lived inside the child, inside the bond, inside the promise. Back on Earth, the news spread like fire. A human alien child born on a dead planet. A story of survival. A threat. A hope. Governments fought. Scientists argued. But the child stayed silent, watching, learning, growing. He aged fast, smarter than any child they had seen. And one day, at just 2 years old, he walked onto the global stage, stood before a sea of cameras, and said in clear, calm words, I am not a weapon. I am a bridge. The world paused because in his voice was the sound of both stars and earth. Mara watched from behind the glass, her eyes wet, her heart full. Her child had already begun changing the world. He wasn't feared. He was followed by those ready to listen, ready to hope. In a quiet corner of the lab, the boy looked up at the sky, a faint smile on his lips. A whisper only he could hear, his father's voice. Well done, Starborn. And in the stars above Earth, something new awakened, but this time it wasn't war. It was wonder.